Leaders. I'm Carol Palombini. I'm a psychologist and tech leadership coach, and this is my podcast, Tech Mind Insights. My mission is to be the change agent for tech leaders grappling with communication syndrome, burnout, and the complexity of tech leadership roles. In this show, I interview leaders and consultants working in the tech space to provide you with real-world insights into the challenges of leadership. If you want to be part of this show or have questions you'd like me to ask my guests, just send me a message. And today, my guest is Mahdi Fanidisfani. Mahdi, welcome to my podcast.
Yeah, hey, Carolina. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
So could you introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm Mahdi Fanidisfani. I'm originally from Iran and living in Amsterdam for more than 6 years now. And before living in Italy for a couple of years, I'm with my family here. My background is tech, and I studied computer engineering and science and master and bachelor. And of course, no surprise that I'm in the IT sector. Over the past years, I was also leading different engineering teams in different companies. And for the past 6 months, I'm the CEO of Crusoe Netherlands, a new branch of Crusoe, which is basically a big company in Nordics, being there for more than 20 years in Denmark, Sweden, and Germany. And I am happy to lead the branch in the Netherlands. That's me.
Wow, well, welcome. And in our previous conversation, amazed me in your story because you say it like this, it seems like everything went super smooth and it was just a natural thing, but you were intentional in building the story, as I understood last time. And also, I was checking here your LinkedIn profile, big statement saying that every success story starts with a dream. So could you tell us how you managed to become a CEO coming from this technical background and becoming a CEO? What were your challenges?
Yeah, it's a very, very good question and interesting one to say. I think everyone goes through the journey, have different stories to say. And the main thing is just being resistant. So a lot of challenges will come, which I'll encounter some of them. But at the same time, I should mention I still have a lot to go. I don't see myself done. I think the most of the job still needs to be done. At the same time, one of the things that was all the time dragging me in is seeing the future that I want to build. And it didn't matter really how the environment treating me or how the situation happens time to time, sometimes supporting, sometimes not. I was just trying to be insisting on what I want to achieve and kind of translating it to my daily work and daily life. What I need to do today to get closer to the bigger picture. So one of the main challenges is basically breaking down that big picture or big goals or dream you have to smaller milestones and maybe daily work for yourself. Because a lot of people want to achieve things, but if you ask them what is your goal for 5 years, sometimes they know, sometimes not. But what is your goal for today, for this week, or for this year? They don't have a proper understanding. So for me, as I mentioned, I have a lot to go still. But one of the things that I do, I said, okay, where I want to be in 5 years, where I want to be in 2 years, where I want to be in 1 year. And based on that, I make decisions. And I will try to also create an environment around myself, which is supporting to reach to those goals. I think that's very important. That one of the things is stay resistant and stay actually kind of hardworking to make what you want happen. And at the same time, don't get distracted by the environments and the things and challenges around you. Try to create the shield around yourself, or I call it self-bubble, that bubble secures your dreams to happen. I think that really helped me in any circumstances. I could still take a deep breath and mention, focus on what you want to achieve in 5 years and go for
that. That's amazing. And that's what tech leaders, they lack. They lack this vision of the future, this clear vision of the future. When I speak to most tech leaders like CTOs, CSOs, or managers in the tech space, I see that they want to leave a legacy. So that's But when you ask them, what is it and how you're going to know you got there, they can't answer that. It's hard for them to have this clear picture as you have. So building this vision must be something intentional. If you don't, you will be just choosing possibility that has been given to you instead of building, constructing your own future. So
Yeah,
one of the
that's
things
true.
that I understand here is that you had a lot of inspirational leadership as an emotional and social intelligence framework, put that this clear vision, to have this purpose that is really, that you can really picture and vision this into the future. So it's not just becoming a CEO, was when in what circumstances you want. And the other thing that you mentioned that I took note here that I thought was super important is to create this supportive environment where you call it the bubble.
The self bubble, you create the bubble around yourself
The
that,
self bubble. I love this concept. I think also things that I noticed, one of thinking pattern I notice in tech leaders is that merit only happens if you're doing it alone. Like you have to sacrifice a lot of things to have for success to have a merit, so for you to consider yourself successful. Asking for help or creating the supportive bubble, in your case, it was clearly a strategy. So how can I sustain this level of pressure for a long period of time? Because it seems like you knew that this was a marathon and not a sprint.
yeah,
Had
absolutely.
to be resilient to go through all this, and you use this bubble as a strategy, as a mental health strategy, right? Can you speak a little
Yeah.
bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I can explain more about it. And yeah, thank you for the compliments. One of the things that I can say from starting from the first one you mentioned, for me, the titles are not the targets, are the other part of the journey. My target of life, I already put a goal for myself in life that I want to help people to have a better life. And I said, okay, what I can do, if I can build better digital products, let's do that. If I can put them together to make something amazing together, and I stand on the side and clap for them, that's also an amazing thing that I can build. And of course, I have seen myself, if I want to build those things, I need to run a company myself because I want to create that environment, bring the handpicked people together and make that happen. Because one of the things is, I have seen a lot of also kind of not good experiences myself or for others, which sometimes was very, I mean, for me, it was very unacceptable and sometimes very unfair. And I said, maybe I can be the person that creates a small, fair environment for people to get together, and all together we make something tangible for the humanity or for the planet. I have a big idea. I didn't get close to that. I have written it for years. I'm waiting for the right moment to go for that and build that company, which I want to invest on the people on earth. I think we have a lot of people who can be in the different places and different jobs or assignments that can shine 100 times more than what they are doing today. So that I had as an envision for myself, and I said, okay, what I can do, this is the path, or these are maybe the titles I should go through. And at the same time, I knew that I need to learn how a complex works. That's why I want to go to bigger companies to work in bigger complex environments to learn how to do that. That's about the first part. But the second part about this bubble, I think it came to my mind back in the days when I was studying, especially when I left my country, came to Italy to study my master. That was a huge move for me. I was kind of the first person in my family going abroad and studying there. So I didn't have any friends, I didn't have any family around me, and I needed to create my first community outside for the first time. And when I was back in Iran, I was having millions of friends because I was a professional football player. So I played for a lot of clubs. I had a lot of friends to hang out, and I had a huge community. But I just needed to start it from beginning. And at the same time, I had all these pains of a new expat in an unknown environment, especially in Italy with all the difficulties as a student. Then I have seen, but I cannot, 5 years later, I cannot say I didn't succeed because I had a tough moments when I started as a student. And I said, and this thing stick to my mind for years. that whenever something comes to actually as a challenge to me, and I feel I'm being pressured and I'm being getting off the road, or it's just blocking me to achieve what I want, are reminding me, can I convince myself 5 years from now and say that reason didn't let me achieve that? And it's always no. So I always said, I cannot fail my exams because I had a bad night of sleep, or I had I have a problem, private problem. So I said, get together yourself. You cannot convince yourself in my 5 years, so you need to make the job done. Doesn't matter how much you're under pain. I think that mentality just to stick and grow inside me, and maybe created that bubble, and I call it now self bubble. I just made that word myself, and and I think that's a key in my career. That whenever I was going through challenges, I was repeating that these cannot be something prevent you achieving your goals. So look at yourself where you are in 5 years and look back. Is it convincing to kind of have excuses? No. Then I would say, then forget about it. You have to make it, doesn't matter how. So that was the key.
Well, this is super interesting. In the coaching practice development approach, we like to use this strategy called the balcony. So it's like when you put yourself in a balcony and you're watching your story play out in the theater. And it seems like it's easy for you to do that. That's strategy, a mental strategy using to disconnect, to disidentify yourself from the situation and have a more perspective and objective view of the of your life and your decision making. So there is two elements of that: the ability of observing the observer of yourself, which is amazing, and on the other hand, of prospecting that into the future.
Yeah.
So looking backwards and reading the story of my life, how would I like this chapter to go, right?
Exactly. I mean, consider a lot of times that people say, yeah, I was about to achieving something, I was about to grow, but I was in a company that I had a bad manager, something. And then I just say, if I go 5 years later and I say to that manager that you were the reason that I didn't succeed to get promotion in my career, would that person even remember me or remember that situation? Because that person maybe does what he knows today, and he doesn't know what that can have an impact on me or what impact that it has on my life, on my career. So I need to find a way around it. You cannot fire your manager, but you can find mentors behind the scene that can help you uncover the gaps that your manager doesn't have. Or you can find peers to create a community, a small community, the three of you, four of you, to just work together on something maybe in the evenings or weekends or your free time. So I just compensated the problems with solutions. And I think one of the things that I learned over the years, you need to reduce the drama and more add the dream to your daily life. If the drama passes the dream in your daily timing or in your life, then it's very hard to achieve what you want or what you're dreaming. So we don't have time for grieving in career especially. The grieving period should be the minimized possible way. You need to pass that, and then you need to go to the solution mode. So I always try, over the years, I learn more and more how to move from grieving to solution mode as quick as possible. And the grieving is important. I don't say skip it, because the grieving is important that you feel the pain and you get stronger. But it's not actually good to stay in that for a long time, because it can drain, it can demotivate you, and getting back to normal state takes more time. So that's why I try to have the grieving. It's like the celebration. The celebration should happen on the small moments. Even if you get, I don't know, you have fixed a bug today, celebrate it with a beer in the afternoon. I don't know, I don't care. Just the small celebration also is important, because those are the spikes in your life. So they are giving you the self-confidence. I think this is the thing that I try to get this rhythm. Small celebrations, grieving, short grievings, and get back the path. We have a lot to do yet. So we need to focus. We need to go to the solution. That's how I see myself.
It seems to me that you're talking about resilience. This is like your formula for resilience is like a muscle. You have to practice this, but this can only if you already know that you're going to have difficult moments. Because
Yeah,
otherwise, I think that some people get so upset whenever they get frustrated because they expected never to get frustrated. They're
yeah,
also
that's
expecting
true.
that that last problem would be the last one, that the last one. And you seem to know that they're coming. And it's just a matter
Yeah.
of how fast you're going to stand up again.
Exactly. And also, I mean, also interesting things, I kind of you get it by experience at the same time. I'm a fan of Brandon Burchard. He's a motivational speaker in US. He's very famous. And he sentenced it very correctly. He mentions, let's remember the challenge is part of the work. So you cannot be a father and say, oh, I don't like the grumpy moments of my toddler. The grumpy moments of your toddler is a part of the fatherhood. And also, of course, the biggest smiles and the laughter and all those things are part of it. But if you define that, when you define the parenthood or your parenting, including those challenges that's going to come, then you will have a better feeling when you're facing them. It's the same at work. That's what I learned by experience, but also now I have a sentence for it. So I think the main thing is you don't get upset, as you mentioned, but what it comes on the way, just focus on the North Star. I mean, you have a North Star and you want to achieve, so you need to find a way around the problems. And sometimes also I see people are struggling on a single way to pass or solve a problem. But I think if they just look back out of the box, there's an easier way. Maybe there's another way to fix it. Sometimes people, just an example of that is people are looking for credits in an organization or visibility in an organization or getting appreciated. And sometimes they get so stick to that goal to get appreciated that they forget that how long they're staying in that company. So they lose years because they want to achieve fame in a company. But maybe it's better to look back and there is a better environment for you that can make that faster. A real life example. When you're living in Italy, it will take you up to 10 to 12 years to get a passport as an expat. When you're in the Netherlands, you will get that in 5 years. Now there's two ways. You're on the way on seventh year are living in Italy, and then you have 3 years more to get passport. But there's a great opportunity that can give you a career boost or life boost if you move to the Netherlands. Then you are in the dilemma: should I stay to get a passport, Italian passport, or I need to start zero to get the Dutch passport? These are the dilemmas that you should easily know which one you need to pick if you know where you're going for. So you're going for the life, not for a passport. Why I'm saying that? Because this is a very typical thing that expats would relate to that you want to stay to be a citizen in a company in a country that you leave because of the social actually aspect of it. But at the same time, getting that, as I said, this is a very simple life example, but this came also to my mind when I left Italy. But I said, my career is working here. I want to go somewhere that there is a merit system. I have better coaches. I have more talents around me, and I can go up in the ladder. And that's why I'm in the Netherlands. So I think this is just one example, but you can easily get to daily examples of this aspect of dilemmas.
Wow. I have so many things to unpack there, but I want to go back a little bit about what you said about when you don't have what it takes. Like, you're not going to blame your manager for not moving on with your career as fast as you wanted because you don't have a good manager. You could get a mentor or a peer coaching. And one of the things that I say the most to my clients is this: why are you so alone? You don't have to be that alone. And that's why I created a community for tech leaders to connect, to create a stronger network. Really include a peer coaching program in the future once everybody is already speaking to each other, because I think that that is an amazing development tool that very few people actually use it.
Yeah,
And we
absolutely.
should advantages. I think it's good for everyone. tech leaders are more easy to isolate than the other kinds of leaders, like in marketing or in human resources. All the humanity people, they are used to sharing and sharing their problems.
Yeah.
And I think that introverted people and technical people, they have a hard time. It seems like your mentality, your mindset helped you go through all the challenges and adapt, receive the best options for you and create the best options, deciding from options that were given to you, but you actually created opportunities for yourself. So in your opinion,
Carolina, I want to just add to that short things. One of the things that was the most powerful energy generator in me was optimistic and positive thinking. One of the main energy generators inside me is optimistic and positive thinking. A lot of people say, yeah, that's a way to be foolish. But for me, that's the way that will give you a better view on life and what happens around you. Because everything happens around us, from challenges to real things, just coming from our view to them. How do you see them and how you want to receive them? So I think people should be more positive about life and about things happening around them.
I super agree with that. And that doesn't mean going through toxic positivity. Like you said, grieving is important, understanding that you got frustrated, but positive outlook, as a matter of fact, is a social emotional intelligence framework. It's something that you can, it's not a matter or not being born with this positive outlook. It's a matter of reinforcing the memories and good memories, like you said in your story. Hold on and celebrate the good moments, even the small achievements, because our minds, it's to keep bad memories instead of good memories. So if we don't work intentionally towards holding on to those good memories, they will not serve as motivational factors for us every time we find ourselves in a frustrating situation. I think that the best way to develop a positive outlook is to bring back all the sensations that you had when you succeed, when you go through challenges.
I agree.
Super nice. And what about communication? I love to make this question to all my guests because I think communication is a key factor in tech leadership. As a matter of fact, the hugest gap among tech leaders is communication. How do you see the importance of communication in the leaders around you?
Yeah, I think communication is everything, to be honest, from my perspective. I mean, as I go further in my career and I learn more, I just think the communication, it was all about communication. I mean, the rest of things you can learn, you can do, understand, but communication is something that we really take sweating to get it right. So I see a lot of, if of course I don't see myself in a position to judge my peers and the leaders. However, from my perspective, I see that a lot of kind of non-good quality leaders we have, which are damaging the industry from the perspective that they cause talents to kind of toggle from here to there because they get frustrated by the way that they are being actually treated. So I think communication is not also means about just talking. Communication means compassion leadership, means you understand and you relate to the person. At the same time, you are thinking, kind of cross-thinking to find a solution for that and passing from that situation. And communication doesn't only come for critical moments. Communication comes on a daily basis, on the minute, how you collaborate and work with people. So you cannot be a shiny leader coming every 3 months in the all hands on and say everything is fantastic. I love you guys. Let's work together. You need to be frequently in communication with your peers and your teams and staff to make it kind of authentic. And one of the things I'm missing is authenticity in communication sometimes in leaders. And myself, I'm still need to learn a lot about it. The only thing I try to ensure that the message that my teams is giving to me, I'm a good listener, because before you communicate, listening is part of communication. It's first a good listening and then a good communicator. So I think these are all coming under the name communication, which make it a huge thing if you want to think about it from that perspective. At the same time, the two simple rules, listening good and then talking good, which comes from that compassion. If you have that compassion feeling in you, then you will try to put yourself in the shoes of your teams and your peers to listen to them, and you will try with that view helping them or communicate your ideas to them. And as I mentioned, it doesn't mean that you need to be always the nicest. It could be also sour conversations. It could be bitter messages. But the way that you say that and the way that the person feels heard, that can make a difference when you leave the room. And it's on the, of course, personal individual level, but also on the global level. When you create a vision for a company, when you create a strategy, all those things also come into communication. If you don't get people involved in the process of building them, then it becomes just a monologue. But I'm talking to you, you know, from tomorrow we go to Mars. No one can relate to that. So communication is very key throughout the process as well. So I think it's going from the individual level to the bigger picture of a company. It makes a difference between successful companies and kind of underperforming companies, from my perspective.
That's okay. So let's start with the compassion. Compassion is actually empathy in action, and empathy is an emotional intelligence skill. Before you have, so what I like about your point of view is similar to Satya Nadella's book. I don't know if you read it. It's all about empathy. It's all about empathetic leadership and how he rules his life through this feeling of empathy and compassion and taking action in with this empathy. And I feel that tech leaders most have a lot of empathy. When you ask, that's why they don't understand why their employees don't grade them well in this competency, because they feel it. They feel, but they don't do anything about it. They don't communicate. They don't make the person feel heard. Listening and waiting for your turn to speak. It's more about asking questions. I was telling my daughter this the other day. If you're not making questions, listening.
Yeah,
it's just waiting for your turn to speak. And that's not about it. And starting from a feedback and going to the company's mission, to the company's vision, then everything it has to pass through this empathy, from understanding what your audience needs and expects from you. I also like to recommend a tool called AIM framework. Have you heard of it?
A framework?
AIM, AIM.
No, I didn't hear about it.
So AIM stands for Audience, Intention, and Message. It's a very simple tool that you can, I think that you do this naturally by what you're saying, you're telling us, but don't. So this is a good way. So the first thing you have to do is picture this audience. Who are you going to speak to? Who is this person? And what do they expect from you? Because if you're speaking to an employee, they expect different things from you than if you're speaking to a board member, another C-level executive, or maybe to a client. They have different expectations of you. So this has to be pretty clear for what the hat you're going to wear on that moment. Yeah. The second part is I for intention. Intention in this case has to answer two simple questions. What do you want people to do? And what do you want people to feel as a result of your communication? You have to have this call to action at least on your mind, because otherwise it's just chatting. It's not an effective communication. It doesn't take people to sometimes it creates more problems and creates more sideways to the conversation. And the last one is message. So what is the best way to deliver this message? Is it an email, a one-on-one conversation, a group workshop? How is the best way to deliver this? And I'm going to use. That's what you said. It's not always about being nice. Sometimes the messages are sour and you have to put on a grave face. And it shows respect to people who are listening to about the seriousness of a situation. You cannot news with a smile.
Yeah, exactly. And if the message that you're saying, you don't think really about it. I mean, you don't think like that in your brain or in your body, that message never going to be perceived properly. So you need to be authentic on what you're saying. Your actions, your thinking, your talking, everything should be aligned on the directions you want to go. So and I think I love this. I love this kind of quotes from the Cyrus the Great, the first Iranian kind of Persian Empire king, that he mentioned three things he put as rules: good thinking, good talking, and good behaving. I think if one of those doesn't work, then you lose authenticity. You lose the connection with people. I think they need to be these three things: thinking, talking, behaving should be aligned. And I think this is what I really looking at the same time. I really love to see how the top leaders are having that synchronous actually actions when they are working with people.
Yes, but before you do that, you have to understand that communication is not just about. And I think some people are stuck in there.
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
still thinking about it, just about passing information on. And as you mentioned, it's about connection. It's much more than transmitting information. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. You can just have an eye contact and it has a huge message that you cannot say with words. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
that's how it works.
So unfortunately, we are hitting of our conversation, but I'm glad that I so many questions that I have for you. I'm gonna have to do a second one.
Yeah,
But
thank you.
I always ask to leave a recommendation of a book or maybe a podcast. The last guest recommended an interview on YouTube. So anything that you think helped you or could help tech leaders
Yeah, of course. I mean, one of the people I mentioned during the interview that I'm still following and I'm a fan. I also bought his books. He's a motivational speaker in US called Brandon Burchard. He has a lot of great books, and one of them is High Performance Habits. And it's about high performance, how high performer people, how they feel, how they think, how they behave, how they work. I mean, I love that, and I love his view. He's very connected to my view of life. And then the other thing is about the book that was having it make it a difference, to be honest. After I read the book, it's called Culture Map. I think it's Erin something. I forgot the surname. It's called Culture Map. It's a yellow book with a word map on it. It's amazing to know about different cultures, to know about international crowd. It helps you also to know how to behave and talk with different cultures. You don't be biased by your own. And I did that because I didn't want to be biased by my own. And I'm always open to replace the part of our culture, the Iranian culture, with the parts that are better. And I found them. So I create my customized kind of culture, which fits internationally. At the same time, as a leader, it's very important to know how to lead internationally. And also on the talks, to be honest, I'm watching a lot of things and a lot of podcasts. I listen to them, but I'm a kind of a geek maybe on a space. So of course I'm following successful people and I read their stories and I collect them, like Jeff Bezos, like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, all those people. I check them, but I'm not a fan of one of them. I just collect the good stories in their life, and I mix it and I see what I can understand from those stories. But in general, yeah, a lot of people, I listen to them. But one thing that I would suggest to people to look after is learning how to create a network around themselves. Networking is your wealth in life. It will make you rich and it can make you poor. Depends what are the type of networks you create around yourself. I'm still listening and reading a lot of things around that, how to create the right network around it and and put the right people around you from your private time to your work time, you need to be surrounded by the like-minded people to achieve what you want. So this
Yeah.
is very important.
It is. I super agree with you with the networking thing. It's not just about marketing. People always think about networking for marketing purpose. So why should I be networking? Only if I want my next job. And I don't think it's like that. I think it's something that you should have as a habit, as you were mentioning, the growth. If you don't have 1 hour per week to network with someone that you already know or someone new, you are saying no to your career in the future. So that extra time that you think that you need to spend on working on whatever you are working on your job is a no that you're saying to your career advancement, to learning possibilities, and to other paths that you don't even know. If you don't connect to people outside of your company, outside of your bubble, you will never know that there could be other possibilities for you out there.
Exactly. It's just about exposure. It's just all about exposure. And just one last thing I could recommend is myself, if I'm allowed to say, if people enjoy this conversation and want to know, for example, how my brain works when I'm leading people. I recorded two podcasts with Exhibia. It's already in my LinkedIn profile. You can find it. Also, there I'm talking with Patrick about how I manage teams and how I see leading engineers and delivering things, which is in a similar theme, but it's I think an hour or less of interview. So they can also look at that. And I'm very open to hear feedbacks and comments about what I said here and other places, because that's the only way to grow. It's receiving feedbacks. People without receiving feedbacks are downgrading, not upgrading, I guess.
I totally agree. And you're going to be invited to my community, so you can network there and participate on the networking and peer coaching programs. And if people want to reach, I'll just go to LinkedIn or check my website. And we are here to support you with whatever you need. Send us questions if you have any questions about this. So, Mahdi, I want to thank you again for being here, my guest. This conversation was super nice. And
thank you.
First of many.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be with you, and really appreciate having me today. Thank you very much, Caroline.
Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Bye-bye. Thank you.